So the first distinction I'd like to make is that there's a difference between focus and concentration. All right, so focus, I'm going to argue, is something that you have to use more volitionally with your will. It's something um, you have to be in charge of. It's not necessarily a natural ability you have. So it's something you can grow in. And my definition of focus, if you've gone through our focus course, is really the ability to come back to things. So all of us, if we were to say focus on your driving, if you're teaching a child to drive, that means keep coming back to look ahead, look in the road, know where you are, know your speed. You just keep coming back. What's my speed? Keep coming back, keep coming back. That's a focusing function. And when you have kids in homeschool, you're going to have challenges with that. I'm pretty sure this focusing problem or challenge, some kids better than others. And especially, there's debate about ADD, ADHD, attention deficit. I make jokes that I have ADOS, attention deficit. Oh, squirrel. But you look back over my life, and I'm probably one of these ADHD people, and I'm trying to understand and learn. I've just learned ways to compensate, overcome, deal with it. My parents used to make me run around the house, not run around in the house, run around the outside of the house. And it was 4,200 square feet, and we're on an acre, so they just made me go run. They also would say things like this: Freddie, called me Freddie back then, your motor's running. And that meant I was jabber, 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 interrupt, talk. So all those things, some of this stuff is personal, but when you're wanting to think about focus, you're teaching your child or yourself to keep coming back to the thing. That's focus. You just keep adjusting. When binoculars or camera lens or anything is focused, it keeps coming back to that right distance, aperture, or whatever the game is. Concentration. So think about that just for a moment. Concentration is more of just an ability you have, a natural ability. ADD, no D, it doesn't matter. Everybody can concentrate. In fact, ADHD, they argue they can get into hyper focus because something interests you. And that's largely what's going on. You can concentrate on something that means you're bringing your full attention to it. So that's a natural ability. And what happens with people is we get distracted, especially if we're bored. We jump over here, jump over there. A lot of ADHD probably is just boredom for bright kids, not exactly a brain chemist neurochemical problem. I bring these up because I want you to understand that you're wanting to help your child know they have a natural ability to concentrate, which means they can, for a moment, pay attention to something and see it. And you can tell, if you ever have gotten a splinter out of a child's finger, um, and they're watching it, there's a lot of concentration there. A lot of times we get them to look away so they won't know when the prick's coming. But they have a natural ability to do this. The trick is we can go off into other things, and that's where focus means we keep coming back. But what's underneath all of this, and I want to talk more about your homeschool on this, what's underneath it is desire. So it's really, if you think about it properly, you've got an undercurrent of what do you want, a desire in play. That means you use your concentration, your ability to bring your attention on something back again and again and again and again until you get it done. That's focus. That's the game. Okay. So when we think about that, I want you to think about your homeschool, because chances are, if you have a child that you're frustrated, they look out the window and doing this, kind of bounce around. There's a fair shot you might be doing it too with your homeschool. Like, are you focused on your homeschool? Like, are you coming back to what you really care about? Or is one day you're trying this, another day you're trying this, and another day you're trying that? So, whichever way you go, you want to think this through, because the desire you have for your homeschool is going to affect everything. So, let's play this out. What if your desire is to raise happy children? Like that's your desire. You just want to be happy. Well, what kind of focus, coming back to something, what would you get them to concentrate on? What would that be about? And it could go in many directions, but it could be fun, fun activities, trips, the museum or whatever, ice cream, a lot of play, that is just about fun. And I say just about because we can apply it to any of these things. Fun. If your goal is to have fun and you think that leads to happy kids, that will actually dictate what your homeschool is going to look like. Now, we didn't want to have, our goal was not happy children, it was happy adults. So everything we were trying to think about had something to do with getting them to adulthood. Um, if they were happy kids, that was a bonus, and we had fun. So that's all great. Uh, how about character? So some people get homeschooling because of character, and they want to develop a certain character, kind of citizenry, kind of orientation, set of virtues for the person or for their kids. And if that's the game, then imagine if character is the issue, then things like church and civic involvement, the nature of what you read, examples of virtuous people, would be influence, and it'd be a focus again, a coming back to and applying concentration on the thing. Um, what if it's just to learn stuff? So if your homeschool is you want to just learn stuff, um, that's going to be a different game. I see Patrick liking happy adults. Yes, a good goal. It really is a good goal because it gets sanity in your head, because you go, okay, the kids aren't happy, but why are they not happy? Well, because they're getting educated. They're doing their stuff or they're doing their chores. Well, yeah. And what we're teaching them is how to be responsible, how to pitch in. They're a part of this home. Everybody's going to pitch in something. And, in time, you go, that external experience gets internalized and they learn to work hard. And if you can work hard, you can beat almost everybody at work, because who does that, right? So, anyway, back to the point. So, the learning, um, if your goal is to learn stuff, like to keep up with the public schools, and you learn social studies and capitals and data information, you learn some history and stuff, then that learning orientation is going to be strictly about the content, right? So the content of what you're learning would be the whole issue. We just want them to learn lots and lots of facts. Another orientation, this was our orientation, is we didn't want them to learn stuff. We want to learn skills. So we had 3 skills that we were really interested in. 1, we wanted them to learn to read and comprehend really well. 2, we wanted them to learn math, go as high as they could, and really master math. And we wanted them to learn to write and master human communication, written words, etc. That skill set of reading, writing, arithmetic, there were plenty of other things, foreign languages and arts and all the rest. But in terms of what we wanted, we really wanted, our desire was for them to learn how to learn. And the tools of learning how to learn are reading, writing, and uh, arithmetic. So, because if you can read English, or any language, but you can read, you can access, you gain access to the great minds of history, and a lot that it does even to just the structure of brain to make it sharp and function. Math gives you the language of science. So for STEM classes and all the rest, that's ready to go. Plus, it teaches absolutes, it teaches logic. So there's a skill set with mathematics that's really, even basic math, which is huge. It's not practical. I'll never use it. And it's like, yeah, no, you will. Your brain's being built to think logically and sanely and do some really cool stuff, whether you use math or not. And then writing, higher level. So it forces you to think, and it teaches you communication. So the more you learn to write, it becomes its own little superpower in making you effective in working with other human beings. So for us, it was a skill driven, one skill primarily, right? One skill, which was to learn how to learn. And so in that orientation, we were making the kids focus on figuring out themselves. We made the kids bring their concentration to focus on a thing called um, writing or that math problem, right? Or making, maybe having to look up a word to make sense of a sentence in the book you're reading. Those things and all these examples, look, your home, your life, your desires, but don't pretend that that's not in the game and that your focus or lack of focus has to do with probably the fact that you've either not settled on your desire or you are contradicting yourself. So like the curriculum takes you one way and you want to go another. So what I'm inviting you to think about is to settle down and get focused at this game to figure out what is it long term that we really desire for homeschooling to do. Because if you'll get that desire clear and get that one organizing, overarching desire in place, then you'll have a way to focus. Then you can use concentration to focus on the things you need to do to set up that school.